Start the pre-council meeting. Hopefully, Mr. Churchill will join us soon. I'm sorry, what?
I think he said he will.
He will.
Oh, you already talked to him? You're just going on precedent. Okay. Oh, let's
It's a
see.
leap of faith.
Yeah. He has a reputation for attending, so I do think that right there be it. Okay, I've got this invocation down, Pat. Mr. Walker, do you have the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, sir.
Marie will have the roll call. And Glenda, are you going to be up on those minutes?
Yes.
Like a smooth operation right here. All right. Let's see here. Dawson Horton will be coming and speaking to us right after that. Okay, Joe's going to put it up on the table. All right. Next will be the 2024-2025 budget presentation. Who is doing that?
First reading.
First reading of it. Okay, so we're just going to basically have the presentation. Is it included in the, I know we got it electronically. Is there a,
I got a printout.
Yeah,
You
I
got
got
a printout?
Yeah, you should have one.
okay,
Right
that's
there.
it there. Okay, all right. Let's see, I'm going to put in there first reading. All right. And then next will be a motion to change the council meeting date because for some strange reason, folks don't wanna meet here on the 4th of July. I don't understand this. So, I actually will be out of town during that week, so, y'all don't have to worry about my,
Should we make suggestions?
well, where everybody's always open to suggestions.
What day?
How about the 2nd?
That's Tuesday?
Could we have it on the 15th, even though we'll have two that week? That way you'd be back.
Right.
2 that week?
Joseph,
Yeah.
that's too
Yeah,
late.
it's too late.
Late, I thought you said light.
No, the 15th of July.
No, that's what he's saying, it's too late
Be
from
too
one
late for
meeting
the
to the
bills.
next.
Start
Isn't
so
it
these
the
people
time?
might be
It's too
circling
close
the
to
building
with
looking
me.
for their
Okay.
money.
I knew we had to have 2 a month. I wasn't sure if we could have that close.
Joe's recommended the 2nd. What does that look like for you guys?
I'm okay with the 2nd.
I
How about you,
think
Ray?
that, isn't that a Tuesday?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's a
a Tuesday
Tuesday.
of that week.
Not sure. Doesn't John usually have trouble on Tuesdays?
I thought John goes to Bible study on Wednesday. What is he doing?
It's a
Tuesday?
lodge meeting or something,
Oh.
so I think he's coming in the door. We can ask him.
Should be.
Skip Lodge.
Right. Are we looking at Tuesday evening?
Yeah,
Yeah, I could do that.
okay, we'll see if it works.
Give
for
him, see
John.
what he says here. John, you've arrived just in time. The group is discussing changing the date. There seems to be some discussion about not wanting to meet here on the 4th of July. And the suggestion has been put forth to move back to the Tuesday before, which is the 2nd of July. Seem to recall you having some Tuesday conflict. I wasn't sure if that was on the beginning of the month or the middle of the month when
The,
that happened.
2nd and 4th Tuesdays I'm not available.
So the 2nd would be, so the
Yeah,
first Tuesday
July
would be
2nd would be
okay.
fine then.
Okay.
Glenda, will you put that on the table for changing the meeting to the same normal times? 6:15 and 7 o'clock on July 2nd? Glenda, is that okay?
Oh, that's fine with me.
Okay, if I'm gonna put you down for,
Oh, you mean?
yeah.
make-
mhm.
Okay.
All right. I believe that is everything we have here on this, but we do have several things that we need to look at this evening, and Eric's already on standby over there, so let's start, Eric, with, this would be under old business, because we had it before, and that was this intergovernmental agreement.
Wait,
Okay.
please. I'm typing.
White Plains.
It says, wait, please, it's an interesting accent.
We need to also about July the 5th.
Yeah,
Oh,
think
yes,
it's
yes. Let's discuss that first, then, if you don't mind, Eric, so we can go ahead and have this right here. All right, folks. So, July the 4th, as we've just discussed, is on a Thursday. It might be a nice idea to have a long weekend for the staff. It has been proposed that perhaps we offer letting the staff, they're already paid to be off on the 4th of July, to allow them to take off at, using their time, not city time, but their own, vacation days, to allow them to be able to take off on that Friday so that they could be off on both the 4th and the 5th.
That's fine, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody need a little rest.
Everybody needs a break.
I was planning on taking a breather, so I don't.
I see yes.
Okay, so do we need to vote on that particular? You believe we need to
I
vote?
don't think so.
Okay, all right.
We'll just post it that we're gonna be closed.
Okay, since we're not actually having to pay for it anyway, we just let them
Right.
know what the scoop is. Be fine. All right, Eric, you,
It's contingent
Let
on
the-
somebody
let
bringing
the-
some food. Whatever
yes,
y'all
tell
do
us
on the
about
4th,
that.
y'all
The
bring
last
some
time, I believe we talked about it, the county was trying to get us to pay for a section that maybe really wasn't in our city limits very
Yes.
much.
When they presented it to us, Elfrith Johnson Road is on both sides in our city limits. But Walnut, they wanted us to pay, I think the number was in the neighborhood of about 40 grand to pave Walnut, and most of Walnut was not. I mean, we didn't have all contiguous properties, let's put it that way. We do have that in Elfrith, excuse me, Johnson, that's a tongue twister. So.
Sure, the Johnson family
Yes,
will
we're
appreciate
gonna say
that.
John, EF's, EJ's house, EJ's,
Yeah, just
EJ.
say EJ World.
All right, so, anyway, this is,
Man,
sir,
come on, man.
come on, man, oh. So, anyway, they reduced it, they, revisited it, and our portion of the Walnut was 27,332, as you can see right there. Our portion of Elfrith Johnson is 47,972. We have that in the fund. Marie, you're gonna have to get my Marie to tell me the number, the fund number, but it's a roads fund. But I'm also meeting with him next Wednesday. We're taking a tour of the city because I said I had other areas that I felt like were prioritized higher than those two streets, but I wasn't gonna, step on the foot that, was trying to help us. So, we're gonna meet here at 10 o'clock. Zach, Mr. Stevens, chief of staff, and then we're gonna tour. There's some old Pinson areas, there's some in Palmer, there's some everywhere, that we've got them all over the place. Innsbrook came up, Palmerdale came up, I say Old Pinson, Silver Lake, Oak Street, Pinson Street. There's several areas that need attention that, as he put it, I haven't heard about those. So I'm going to make sure he hears about those next Wednesday. And
We need to agree to the contract.
yes, we need to agree to this. I need your approval to so that we can, go forward with this agreement. Otherwise, we won't be part of it.
Okay, so, Bob, you spoke to this the first time on there. Did you get a chance to look too, to make sure? I just saw that, but I couldn't see. That one you showed us the first time really showed how much why they were getting us to pave that part really was beyond belief.
Thompson Road is basically everything in that road along through there is in the city.
He's asking
Correct.
about the condition.
No, I drove it.
Oh,
I
are
agree,
you?
I agree
Okay,
it needs to
okay.
be paid. It's the other one, the oak,
Walnut.
walnut, yes.
Yeah, you see that blue, the pink
I
there?
thought we might get rid of most all the walnut. Is this not, how much walnut we get rid of?
One side is ours. If you'll see the right side,
This is ours, this is not.
This is the county, this is the red, what they're saying, it's both sides of the road. So, just that little spot, this part of Walnut Grove is, that is.
hence my trepidation of paying for that, us splitting it.
Corner and that little strip, that little spot,
So,
this, all this.
We've got scattered on both
so are
sides.
they paying for 50% of the paving in that section?
But just about, yeah.
Okay, if
Yeah,
we own one side, they own the other, then splitting it sounds reasonable.
We do, and that map's not up to date. If that's a county map,
Okay.
there's several properties in that blank that are in and some are out. So if you're looking at the right side, the solid pink side, most of those are in. And
Okay.
the left side, they're in and out, in and out, in and out. So that's why I'd objected to the amount they came up with first.
Okay, so
So-
I'm gonna ask the staff, do you feel the percentage of request is now fair to the city?
Good deal for us.
I do. I think it is. I think it's fair.
Okay.
And
I'll add one thing, what if we annex Ash's property next year? We have a paved road. So some respects of that.
we're splitting Elfrith Johnson as well.
Oh, we are?
Yes.
Well, I thought we were having to pay for all of that thing, so.
That's why I said.
Just the first half.
I turned that off for that. Okay.
Okay, so.
No, we're splitting that too. So.
We do have to have the agreement in place, has to run through all their legal, takes a while. They're not planning on paving immediately until later in the year. But if you guys are comfortable with this, based on the mayor and staff's recommendation,
I just been looking at my updated map.
Okay.
On Walnut Grove Road, every parcel on both sides of the road is in the city of Pinson.
Mhm.
Elkins Johnson Road, everything on one side of the road is in the city of Pinson, and the other side of the road, about 50% is in the city of Pinson.
It's,
Okay.
So the vast
it's the other way around.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the vast majority of it is out.
okay. So, but would someone like to go ahead and put it on the table to go ahead and move
Yeah.
forward? Sounds like it's gonna be a pretty good deal, and, the road does need to be paved. Now, I'm not gonna, I agree, there may be some places that are worse,
Yes.
but
yes.
this place is shot.
Well, and I don't want them to, I don't want this to take, them to overlook our other areas. That's what I told him. I said, I've got some that are pretty high profile too, that needed just as much attention, in other areas. So that's what we're gonna do, ride around, take a look.
Well, my question was, I used the Innsbruck test, so I thought, well, I'll drive up there and see if it's as bad as Innsbruck. It was worse than Innsbruck, so that means it's really bad. Because Innsbruck is terrible.
County's out looking for 0 roads to pave.
Right.
And if ours are nearby,
They try to work with us. Right, right.
very good, good thing I do, is that more in other places, they usually call us,
Yes.
make it up to them to look for him.
Does someone want to go ahead and add this on under new business?
I can offer that.
Okay. I'll put down here, intergovernmental
Thanks.
agreement by Brad Walker. Has this already been run past Mr. Black and everything, or we?
This is a standard. We really didn't have to have anything formal. I needed your approval, and Marie pulled this up from previous.
Okay, I just didn't know, once we do this, then we can approve it, and then you can run it through the regular
Yes,
legal
right.
channels. I mean, I
That's
know
right.
that,
Yes, sir.
they
we
said
will.
that was going down to their county legal and all that jazz.
Yeah.
So.
So we're gonna add that to new.
So
Yes.
where are we gonna add that in?
Right at the bottom, underneath the motion to change the council
Okay.
meeting, I'm just calling it intergovernmental agreement by Mr. Walker. All right, we took care of that one. All right, what else, Eric?
We talked to you a few weeks ago about the IT company and needing to beef up our security as far as our multi-factor authentication, excuse me. So what you have here is and I didn't set out when I started this to save us money. I'm gonna tell you that. I did not. I set out to get us a better service, okay? And I've spoken with Counselor Walker a couple of times about this, and we had met with Clearwinds, and they're more of a local company, but they service a lot of municipalities. They service a lot of companies. You've probably heard of them. They're out in Vestavia, but so anyway, I entertained them last year, and until we had our breach and really suffered. So anyway, what I'm showing you here is a comparison of what we pay VC3, who we currently have, and Clearwinds is who I'm proposing that we change to. I have had included Heather and Marie in these talks, and made sure that they were all on board and saw what they were offering. We compared them apples to apples, and that's what I've tried to do right here for you. I had a couple of, you see I got an asterisk there next to that website hosting. So I went back to Clearwind and said, are you sure? And they clarified some details about what VC3 did for us and what they were offering us as far as managing our website and building our website. They're very comfortable with. They raised the amount that they want. What you'll see, the initial cost, that's probably about doubled as I kept asking them to make sure that they covered everything that we have already. We don't want to go backwards with our website, if you follow what I'm saying. The multi-factor authentication, if you look down there across that line and look what VC3 wants to charge us, I don't know.
Wow, that one-time setup fee is pretty pricey, wasn't it?
That's way more in line with what you and I discussed.
Yeah.
About that.
Yeah.
The Clearwinds
The
price?
Clearwinds pricing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all uses
It's not a hard thing to do, and short of maybe some licensing, but this should be included with
It is.
our package.
It
so,
is. Yep.
It comes
with
really. That's that's just them, that's just their labor to set it up. I don't know what the other company was thinking.
Well, I question a lot of things now that I've dug deeper,
Big
you
vacation
know.
plans.
So there are a few things that I think that we should have probably already been some red flags before. But and you'll see the cost comparisons. They're not too far out of line. I think the hosted phone's a little bit higher. We don't own a couple of pieces of equipment with that phone system that I didn't realize this. The sidecars, the little, and the headsets, they're charging us monthly for this, and I'm like, really? Anyway, my fault. I mean, if you don't see that invoice run across your desk every month, you don't know it. So, with that being said, I wanted to show you this. Again, this number, I want to step around it. That number that you see, the 7745, I did not update it on this sheet here. You do have it. It should say $9,195 initial cost for Clearwinds. Is that correct? Okay, good. I didn't get when I went back to him about that website hosting and transferring and all that. I talked to him 3 times today to make sure that we had every dot touched and every T crossed, and this was the latest updated quote. And they were happy with the monthly recurring. I was a bit shocked. Maybe VC3 was spreading that. I don't know what that deal is, but that's a huge difference. If you see that, that's a lot. The total for yearly is quite a bit of difference. I never set out trying to save us money. I was trying to improve our service and secure our walls, if you got what I'm saying. So anyway, I want you to see that, and I want you to be aware of that, because I really think that this is a wise move to swap. But
Mr. Walker, what?
It's a 30-day process. It's not, and it may take longer than that, 60 days, because we want them to cooperate, and that's part of their contract.
Wait, please. I'm typing. I have done business with them.
With Clearwinds, good.
I've competed against them in the past.
Have you?
So,
Well,
in a different life. So.
they don't have near the turnover from what
Yeah.
we're seeing. There's a lot of positives to the whole relationship. There's three or four engineers really close. Their hub is in River Chase, Vestavia, Liberty Park area. They got several different locations. One in Nashville that they back up and store. So everything about it I think it's the right move for us. I think that I think we need to make a change.
So talking about the monitoring, the managed service and
Yes.
monitoring our security.
Yep.
I apologize, I didn't get on that call, but
Yeah,
I
that's
had
okay.
an install to do. But are you comfortable with what they said they would do?
Absolutely, and I think Heather can stand behind that too. I felt comfortable a year ago. I entertained them, and some of these quotes that we had were from a year ago, and I had them update them because what transpired in the year we've had with VC3, it's really led me in this other direction. I promise. I wouldn't do this. I don't like change, especially this is for us, especially when you got to put some money up front. The saving the money in the long run monthly is okay, but yes, I do feel very comfortable. They're in the EDR, endpoint detection response. They seem to be more on the ball to me than that's the firewall, and that's their monitoring. And they have a phishing campaign that comes with this package, which in other words, they'll send out this email and say, Miss Kirkland, do you like to buy fish from the local, whatever? And if you click on it, we got you. Now we're going to need to teach you what not to and what to, Counselor Walker is very familiar with it, I know. And I know some of you others are too, but we didn't get that type of service. And that's really what kind of happened with our compromise.
I just had to go through one of those training classes, and I didn't even click on the email.
Did
So-
you buy the fish?
No, I did not buy the fish.
Well, okay, so I wanted to make you aware of that. Of course, before we ever sign a dotted line, we'll come back with some final, thoughts on that. I'll bring it back to you next month and make you see, because it's not going to happen overnight, that type of thing. The second thing I need to tell you about, or need to talk to you about, is, as you remember, we had an issue. I wasn't here for a meeting. I was sick, and we tried to broadcast. So Heather was my only backup, okay? And I love my backup. She is fantastic. But what I will tell you is that what we have in place now, oh man, where'd he go? Sorry.
It was a very quaint crowd that night. There was no one hardly looking at her or anything.
Well,
Every grandmother and uncle and aunt were all tuned in trying to see their
Outdated
kids.
equipment.
it is, and what it is, and really to try to put it in a nutshell, and this is not my field of expertise, but what we have is a wireless link for our cameras, and that's how we get that signal to what's being broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, and the website. Boxcast handles all of that. So we can't buy any more of those wireless camera links at all. They don't service them. And then when we tried to buy some, we paid, those were like $100. That was $100. Let's just say $99 when we first bought it. We tried to get 3. We got 1. And then from that point on, they went up to $1,000, and they're refurbished. So they don't support them anymore. So my thing was, and when Heather had such the problem she had was related to this wireless link with the cameras sending that signal to Boxcast. So Boxcast is used by a lot of churches, a lot of municipalities. That's how they broadcast their productions. And so I inquired with, of course, the church that I attend and the IT guy there, and asked another church that, and then I talked to another municipality, the smaller one that does a little bit, dabbles in it, and they all use the same thing. So I asked these guys, Boxcast, our representatives, said, hey, what do I need? Tell me what I got to do. Because I'm afraid I'm going to walk in here tonight and boom, it's going to not work, and we'll have one camera, or we may not be able to use the wireless link at all. So this is the proposal. It does take a little bit of money, but if you can see, what we're going to buy from them is the encoder. The encoder is right there in the center. That's a $999 investment. Okay, now we can trade it in and step up as times go on. We have to buy this switch. If you see right there, it says produce. Everything plugs into a switch. It's $200. The cabling, I've already got cabling, so I just want you to be aware that that we need to do this. If we want to continue to do this, it's a $999 investment, one-time investment. Doesn't charge us anything more a month or anything like that. We pay $1,341 a year for the right to broadcast out to these social media sites and, of course, to our website. It's simulcast to that. It also will solve the problem of I didn't have a way to be able to show pictures and any of these forms, these PDFs that we put up. All this will solve all that, and it will all be run from one laptop, not the multiple stuff and juggling and making sure this talks to who and what and where. And so I think that again, I'm not. I don't like to come up here and spend all your money, but I think we need to invest in this. We need to invest in this. We need to.
So essentially what you're saying is we're changing this from a wireless link to our Boxcast system to a wired link,
Yes,
which
sir.
is far more reliable.
Thank you, and much more simpler too. I think it'll make it much easier, user friendly. So that's a real big key. I mean, when I say user friendly, yeah, there's a little learning curve. It's nothing like what we've got here. So anyway, that's about really all I've got to bring up to you.
We can still have wireless cameras.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can still have wireless cameras. And as the broadcast that I made, and I will touch on that just a minute, that the fireworks and the birthday celebration was a huge success as far as I'm concerned. I venture to guess there was 1,500 to 3,000 people in the vicinity. And I don't know how many saw from far away. A very, very big crowd. I was really pleased. The fireworks were fantastic. I was really amazed at how many showed up for the food trucks, and that was a big success. So I think they loved seeing
I think he's stealing your thunder.
Yeah.
No, he's
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
hey,
just an overview. Wait,
Okay.
wait,
Yes,
till I get my
You
shot.
got
it is.
better?
It was, but I broadcast 2 or 3 live feeds from inside and out, and talked to Stanley a little bit if y'all have seen it, and he gave a little bit of pump to it. So I was really I think it was great. I really do. So all right, well that's really all I got. I just wanted to.
So do we need to do something on this?
I was
These
gonna
boxes?
ask, Mr. Mayor, can we offer that tonight? I
Okay.
think we should do it, just
Okay.
because people wanna see what we're doing. if
Yes.
They can't be here.
Yeah.
Hey, I tried to help you, but even our 2 heads together weren't enough.
I think maybe 80 wireless phones in the room
Well-
simultaneously that night could have had some interference with the system. Who knows?
I
There's
don't
enough
know.
RF floating around here that.
I don't know if it
Could've
was
sunk
that
on
or
anything.
but yeah, I think that's
Is this
it.
another offer by Mr. Walker?
I will
Yeah.
offer it, yes.
Okay. I did have a little video, but I don't think y'all need it. So,
What is that system? It's the new.
what we
What
need
do
is
we
the
wanna
new Spark HDMI encoder, and the other is it's a switch.
And you need about $1,200, you said?
That'd be more than enough. Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you get that, Brown?
I got a
$1,200.
Yeah. All right.
And I left you and Mr. Walker a print. I got one more here of their proposal. The only thing it doesn't include is their website hosting and their pricing for the multi-factor authentication. That's an additional quote. Those quotes came in last year. Yes, sir. And they've sent me new ones that have the dates changed, of course, so before we make any changes, but to give you an idea of the broad scope of the company and everything. And I've got another one here if you need. Okay.
Should we
That's all I have, though. I can print it more.
take this one apart? Do you have it electronically also?
I'd have the proposals. I don't have this. We can, though, print this out to give them to them, too.
Well, that's why I was wondering about, Marie wanted to take this apart and scan it and then to have, so.
Here, no,
everyone
to
can have
do
a
it with this
copy.
one.
We don't need it tonight.
Are y'all voting on that tonight?
No, we're not. But,
That just gives you a broad
Ms. Irvin wanted to have some light reading for later this evening. Sorry. Is there anything else that needs to be added to the agenda? I don't think so.
I think that's enough.
All right, we'll meet back here in about 10 minutes to start. And now I just call it the new Spark encoder and switch.
Encoder?
Yeah. Okay, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Benson City Council for June the 20th, 2024. At this time, please rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you get a chance, please take a look at your cellular devices and other things there, and please silence them. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for allowing us to be able to come here to the City Hall. We thank you so much for the many blessings that you have given us and continue to give us so much to enjoy here in the city of Benson. We thank you for the wonderful beauty. We thank you especially for the people that are here. And we thank you, Father, for those that look after us, especially those that are in the front lines and first responders. Thank you, Father, for our city staff and for those that work here diligently, improving the lives of the folks here. Give us wisdom tonight. We ask that you would look over us at this time. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Madam Clerk, can we have the roll call, please?
Counselor Irvin.
Here.
Counselor Walker.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Roberts.
Here.
Counselor Churchwell.
Here.
Counselor Kirkland.
Here.
Mayor Cochran.
Here.
Excellent. Everyone is here. I would entertain a motion concerning the minutes from June 6th meeting.
Yes, I would like to offer a motion to approve and waive the reading of the minutes as written for June the 6th, 2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
Wow, that really was a tie. Madam Clerk, I'll let you make the call on that one. Motion and second. Any discussion concerning this? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We will approve those minutes. This time I'd like to suspend the rules for a bit, and I would like to recognize Chris Horn for a presentation, I believe.
While that part of the presentation, I'm going to give our report.
We let you give many presentations.
As you see, I put a copy before you, May's, the runs totals. We've made 869 calls, 8 of them were structure fires, 314 of those were EMS calls. We had 11 automatic aid given, and we received 5. We currently have 5 vacancies in our department. I would like to, if you all wouldn't mind coming, we're going to have our annual board meeting next month, which will be on the 8th, July the 8th, at our training center. We would love for y'all to come to that at 6 p.m. We'd love for y'all to attend that, if you don't mind. We asked the city of Center Point's also going to be there also, and Clay. So we just want to show off our facility a little bit, showing you what we've done, and let you look through that.
What date was that?
It's on July the 8th.
Okay.
On the second Monday of the month. Also remind you our golf tournament's coming up, which is the last Monday of July, which is July the 29th at Grayson Valley Country Club. That's in memory of Ricky Davis, our fireman that passed away in 2000. And we have 8:30 shotgun shot available and 1:30. If you don't mind, I'd like to ask Chief Sheriff if he would come up for a minute. One of the council members, I asked for her if she would read something for us. We had a pretty long couple of 3 weeks. We had one of our firefighters passed away, and Chris really stepped up and helped us on filling a gap that we really needed to fill. So go ahead.
Director Sherritt, this letter is to formally commend you for your assistance with the funeral service for firefighter Albert Tenney IV. Your knowledge, experience, and unwavering dedication were truly invaluable during this deeply challenging time. Your expertise played a critical role in ensuring the funeral service was executed with the utmost respect and precision. From coordinating logistics to overseeing critical details, Your meticulous attention to detail provided much needed guidance and support to all involved. Your ability to navigate the complexities of such a solemn occasion with grace and professionalism was profoundly appreciated. It is evident that your commitment to public safety extends far beyond your professional duties. Your dedication to serving others, particularly during times of grief and loss, exemplifies the highest standards of our profession. Your efforts have not only honored the legacy of firefighter Albert Tenney IV, but have also strengthened the bonds within our department and community. Thank you for your unwavering commitment for going above and beyond in your service. Your support during this difficult time will always be remembered and appreciated. Professionally, Brandon Dillard, Fire Chief.
Yeah, so thank you so much. Well, I know you would have done it, and this is something that we, very tough for us to work through, unfortunately, but first responder family's huge, and we felt a lot of that support during this time, and guys like this that come out and help with the logistics and what all the planning that you did, and just being there to help support the family. We truly appreciate it. I know you would have done it without being asked, but yeah, we wanted to recognize you and make sure you knew we appreciate it, and the family was very appreciative too.
Thank you.
Applause.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I don't think people fully grasp how significant that was, not just for what Chris did, but to have Chief Dolan, when the fire department recognizes someone from public safety law enforcement, that really shows some class. No, I know there's a lot of joking over the years between the two professions, but the reality is, when push comes to shove, they really do work well together. So, hey, I like it when there's bullets flying and stuff, and suddenly and the building's on fire, and the firemen tell the police guys, they say, you know what, this time you're going in first. So anyway, we do really appreciate you, Chris, and appreciate that recognition, and we know it comes from the heart. So thank you very much. Next off, we're going to have a special presentation from Mr. Dawson Horton. He is going to give a presentation on our 2022/2023 audit.
All right. Good evening, Council.
Thank you.
Good to be back with you all. I'm Dawson Horton from Borland Benefield. I've been a part of this audit for many years and have been leading it for at least the past 3 or 4. So very familiar with the financials and operations of this city. And I'm going to start with some required information that we have to communicate to those charged with governments. We'll dive into the numbers a little bit of comparison to previous year, and then we'll kind of wrap up with some of the items that we found and some of the findings. So with that said, I'll just dive right in. First things to note, just some items, some housekeeping items. You know, for this year of the financial statements, there were a couple of new GASB standards that we had to implement. They didn't have a very significant effect on our city, but one of them is subscription-based IT arrangements is a new GASB statement they just came out with. It was implemented, as well as the second year of our leases standard, which neither of them really had significant effect on our financial statements. As far as estimates in the financial statements, what the primary one would be collectability of receivables, which we haven't had issues with, but we estimate that we are going to collect all of those. Depreciation's obviously an estimate in the financial statements, but that's common across the board for all governmental and non-federal, non-governmental entities. So, as far as difficulties encountered performing the audit. We did not have any issues working with management or the team and making our way through it, but we did have, obviously, had some difficulties related to the issues experienced with the implementation of the new accounting system that I'm sure y'all are very aware of. But we were able to make our way through all of that and get everything up to a comfortable place where we feel comfortable opining on these financials as fairly stated as of June 30, 2023. Misstatements, yes, we were required to make numerous adjustments that we've provided to management. Everyone was in agreement of the adjustments. It kind of crossed the board from cash accounts to accounts payable, accounts receivable, and the inter-fund activity between our funds for fund accounting. I didn't have any disagreements with management, and we didn't have to consult any other accountants. Those are also things we're required to communicate. And as I mentioned, we do have some audit findings that we'll kind of go through in detail here at the end of this report. Okay. So you should all have a thick packet in front of you of the audit report for the June 2023 year end. And we'll start, the first pages 1 through 5 are your audit opinions. Pages 1 through 3 is the standard independent audit report that it is a passing grade audit opinion as it relates to the financial reporting side. The numbers are materially stated accurately as of June 30, 2023, based after we were able to get everything kind of put back into place a little bit. That you'll notice on the pages 4 and 5 is the governmental auditing standards opinion on over internal control, which is relatively new. Until we started receiving the ARP federal funding in the previous year, and it's been a recommendation of the state that every local municipality kind of receive the full governmental audit, yellow book audit as we call it. But we started performing that last year with the ARP money, and so this is the required opinion as a part of those standards. And you'll notice that it does have some details on the bottom of the 3 findings that we do have this year. And like I said, we'll get through those here at the conclusion. All right. So if you will flip to page 6, we have your statement of net position or your balance sheet. And this is really, the only statement you'll find in the financial report that actually includes all of your assets. So it includes your capital asset activity, and it includes your long-term debt, as well as some other long-term liabilities and other liabilities that you wouldn't necessarily see in your fund financial statements that are prepared on the modified accrual basis. So, but just off the top, positive notes, total assets were up over $1 million year over year versus the previous year. Always a positive sign there, and really the majority of that is rooted in cash balance increases of over $750,000 from year to year. Now, the significant majority of that, over $500,000, a little bit over that, is all restricted funding related to ARP, as well as some growth in your road tax money that's restricted for those road repairs or road and bridge repairs. But nonetheless, always a positive sign to see the growth in assets and growth in cash balance year over year. Down below, not a whole lot going on, changes from the previous year, and the liabilities. We, continued making our timely debt payments without any issue. We've really gotten a good cleaned up debt situation by refunding those warrants a couple years back, and really have some favorable interest rates on those warrants because of the timing of refunding those as well, which is very positive for making our annual debt service payments. There was a slight increase in your net pension liability, which is kind of determined by actuarial valuations provided by RSA. They report a year behind us as well. I'll dive into that a little bit coming forward, but the majority of the reason for that increase of liability is based on investment declines, fair value investment declines, primarily in the investment or the retirement plan. Down at the bottom, just over $1.7 million in unrestricted net position, which we estimate out to be about 5 months of operating reserves, which is a really positive indicator of your financials. They recommend at least 3, so to have a few extra on hand as well over that, over the governmental recommendations is a positive indicator as well. Alrighty, if you will flip to the next page, page 7. For your statement of activities or your income statement. And again, this is the full financial statement that you wouldn't necessarily see on a monthly basis. It's going to include depreciation expense, and it's going to include some other expenses for changes in liabilities that you'd only see on the full balance sheet. But off the top, positive indicators. Another total tax revenue up over 400,000 year over year, which is a really positive sign. Majority of that coming from sales and use tax. I'd like to think it's a combination of both continued economic growth, but also does have some inflationary factors there that generated that increase, because our business licenses were kind of right in line with what they were previous year. So just kind of raising the price of goods, kind of generating some increased revenue. And you can see that just kind of some increases on our expenses about on the same level as the increase of tax revenue. A lot of those expected increases, we're building out our personnel to fill out some of the new departments, as well as we've had some turnover over the past couple years that we're just trying to fill out the positions on. So a lot of those increases expected in your expenditures this year. Okay. If you'll flip to the next page, page 8. These are your fund financial statements. These are more typical to what you would see in your monthly financial reporting. Like you can see, there is no capital asset activity or long-term debt included here. As I mentioned, positive indicators from increases in cash. Like I said, restricted cash up about $750,000 between the ARP money and those gas tax monies. The good news about the restricted funding, though, is that it is all for the most expensive things that you have to pay for. Repaving your roads and the capital improvements or equipment and vehicles for your city. So that's always nice to have on hand to help support some of the more expensive expenditures of the city. On the bottom line, you can see a deferred revenue line of $575,175. That is the total ARP money you have not expended as of June 30, 2023. And that's just kind of how they have us, the required reporting is anything that's unspent is deferred until it is spent for financial statement purposes. As I said, a very, a good positive financial indicator in your unassigned fund balance there at the bottom of just about $1.8 million in the general fund. And it looks like, we got some good reserves in the 465 gas tax fund for improving our roads going forward here. Okay, let's flip over to page 9 is just a little reconciliation that gets you from the fund balance sheet over to the full government-wide. So let's flip to page 10 here. And as I said, this is kind of the more format you're used to seeing here. As in your expenditures, you can see principal debt payments and capital outlays are expensed here for budgeting purposes. The modified accrual basis of accounting. We've kind of gone through some of the positive indicators on the revenue side. And this is the first year of your kind of what our new accounting system provided us is a little bit more detail and how we report our expenditures. We have public safety is obviously just a public safety department. Public service includes public works and zoning, and then we have it separated out for your parks and rec department. General and administrative includes the admin, council, mayor, and inspections department. And with this new accounting system, we've been able to more accurately spread our, primarily personnel expense across the board to where you can get a really much more clear representation of kind of where our expenses based on each individual department and each individual group. We had to make some corrections to kind of get things in line with how we expected it to be this year. But I think going forward, this will be a really, having the depth and more information and better system of accounting. It'll be really good for analytical comparisons, budget to actuals for y'all going forward from this point. Yep. So we're going to jump back a little bit just to kind of give you a little more information on that. If you'll flip to page 32. I'll give you all a minute to flip. These are your, some further detail on your fund financial statements, kind of broken down on all of the additional funds. And this is kind of, you know, what the results of our new accounting system are three new funds, as we call them, 2 special revenue funds and a capital projects fund. I think, you know, by building this out, as I said, we separated out some more road tax money and your Rebuild Alabama money that was previously maintained in the general fund. It's going to add for some easier tracking and better, you know, management of, you know, where expenses are, you know, directly coming from. If we have road expenses, being able to make sure we're using those funds exactly as we're supposed to be, as they are restricted. And, you know, it always is nice to have a capital projects fund. For this fund that was created this year, your Alabama Trust Fund proceeds is the primary revenue line coming into it. Those funds are restricted for capital improvement related expenditures. And it's nice to have the fund, for one, tracking that money to make sure we're using it on capital expenditures, as well as it's nice to have a fund to be able to kind of dovetail some money away. If we, you know, you generate a surplus one year in your general fund and you want to earmark some money to be, you know, planning for the future, it's nice to have a fund to be able to kind of use that as our tracker of, you know, something to be used for budgeting purposes for, you know, like I said, the more significant dollar amount expenditures. So this is where a lot of our adjustments were required. Fund accounting is difficult, and particularly with the, you know, the depth and elaborateness of our accounting system. So we spent a lot of time making sure that, one, you know, the right amount of revenue for each one of the gas taxes and the, you know, the Alabama Trust Fund proceeds got into the right fund. And then the money side of it, did the funds actually get transferred from the general fund? Are they still sitting in the general fund bank account? And making sure that we have the right amount due to and due from these funds to properly track this and to get the right amount of funds into right amount of money into each of the funds. As I mentioned, yeah, fund counting is extremely difficult, and that process did take some time, but we were able to kind of iron it out and feel comfortable about where the numbers are at June 30. You can see that, yeah, from the amounts due from other funds at the top of the line there, it was part of, you know, making sure that we got the right amount of money owed to the right fund and getting it transferred over. If you flip to the next page, just kind of gives you a little bit, you know, more detail on the, you know, income statement for these new funds. Like I said, primarily gas taxes, and then we report those Alabama Trust Fund proceeds as intergovernmental. But yeah, limited expenditures this year, so we do have some reserves on hand for using for those road and bridge related expenses as well as capital. Transfers in being high down there from the creation of the funds in the current year and moving them because they were all maintained previously in the general fund. So. Okay. We're going to hit a couple things in the notes disclosures, but not too many there, as not a whole lot has changed in those from year over year. If you want to flip to page 18. You'll see here we have the capital assets disclosure that kind of gives you a breakdown of where all our additions were this year and the dollar amounts kind of for each category. Some of the main things included this year would have been like the roofing of the Rock School and the purchase of the Fawcett House, the two of the main things, completing some ADA renovations, and then, you know, a little bit of, so a couple new equipment pieces and a new vehicle. So I always like to feature this note disclosure just to kind of give that breakdown. Page 19 kind of has a little summary of your debt activity. As I said, you know, pretty simplistic debt structure now with just the one warrant and $150,000 of principal paid this year, and certainly not having any issues making timely debt service payments. And the last thing I'll touch on is on page 26 for the pension liability. You know, for being a, well, you know, local municipality, this total even net pension liability is really in a good place, even versus other cities that we've, you know, been across, because based on, you know, it's all based on your employee total, how long, the age, women live longer than men. It's the actuarial evaluations that go into developing this total pension liability. Okay, the middle column, planned fiduciary net position, is considered like our investment account. That's the amount of money that we have funded into the account over the years to give you this net sum at the end of the period. And you can see kind of right in the middle there of the net investment income, that's kind of the main driver of running up that liability this year. But you can see they report on a 9/30 year-end basis, so the reporting's a little dated. All of what we've seen for the ones we've looked at for 23 for the majority of folks, and I'm sure it's the same for y'all as well, is that kind of flips right back around for the next period. But just wanted to give a little background on that as well. Okay, to the less fun part. Let's flip to the page 34, and we'll get into the audit findings we had this year. There were 3 total, and we'll see. Starting with the first one, segregation is the duty and oversight of financial reporting. We lost our primary accountant in March of 22. And then by about the December of 22, we were down to basically 2 administrative employees. We were able to hire a revenue clerk at the end of our fiscal year period, and then after year end, secure a contract fee accountant. But, throughout the year, from a combination of lack of personnel and the implementation of the new accounting system not going very well, we weren't producing, financial reports for us to be able to evaluate or actually give some oversight of the financial reporting, as well as just by having those 2 individuals in the admin side, we had some incompatible duties, approving and, some items that we would normally or duties we'd normally separate out between a few different individuals. So this is kind of the cumbersome of based on, lack of being able to produce financials, and the segregation of duties issue. That's what gives you the basis for the first finding. The second finding, inconsistencies and delays in performance of account reconciliations. It kind of gets back to all of the corrections that we had to make this year. That's the root of this finding. We corrected cash account balances, we corrected the interfund activity, and it's really kind of rooted in one, the implementation of the new accounting system. As well as when we were trying to go back and I mentioned previously, fund accounting being exceptionally difficult. And, having an accountant, help us on the front end, build the system would have been, very, very helpful to us and maybe helped us maybe not get as far behind as we did. But it is what it is, and we were required to come in and make numerous corrections to help get the numbers accurate as of June 30th. Lastly, we did significant testing over payroll, and just based off the issues we noted in some, payroll was the primary, I would say, from talking with the staff, payroll was one of the most difficult parts of the new accounting system. We had, issues and, duplicate payments and paying wrong amounts and a number of just issues in general, as well as, by the lack of staff and the ability to kind of cross approval, there isn't really a true approval for comp time or overtime at this point. So the department heads can approve theirs, but when the department heads earning it, we didn't necessarily have an approval over that time slot. But so due to that, it was a little bit of segregation of duty and lack of oversight over that the payroll process is the final finding. I will say, each one of these, we feel like we've gotten a good plan in place and have already taken action. The staff has in trying to attack these and get back to the right, get back on track, if you will. We feel pretty good, and I know that they have financial information, maybe only a month behind at this point. We're all the way up through at least April at this point, producing good financials, and it sounds like we've been able to use our, getting things in the right spot to be able to notice if we had something coded to the wrong account or revenue in the wrong line, that's the whole point of the, the monthly review of these financial statements is that, someone's in the weeds kind of plugging everything in, and then on the top side, we're able to evaluate whether, whether everything got put in the right jar, if you will, or the right fund. Like I said, we filled out our staff. We have, you know, four full and, 4 individuals in the account, in the admin staff. Tasks are properly separated at this point. And we're, you know, we're reconciling our accounts on a regular basis. And just the overall experience, and, you know, we're gonna continue to have some issues with the system as we continue to progress, or, you know, continue to go forward. But it feels like the experience and learning from the past, you know, we've got a lot bigger knowledge base of the system and feel pretty good about operations of it going forward. And particularly, you know, I've discussed all these with the mayor and city clerk on Tuesday. We had a good discussion, and everyone seems like we feel like we're in a good place for going forward. And, you know, the plan is, you know, we obviously have 10 days until in the next year end, when we got a good plan in place for trying to get the year end reporting in line. We'll come out and try to assist on making sure, you know, on reconciling at the end of the year, try to help with any issues with the Tyler Technologies, and feel good about not having this same conversation in a year. But, and, you know, positive sign, we did not have any issues reviewing ordinary operating expenditures. Everything was being approved in that line. We had invoices for everything on that, and we didn't have any evidence of any theft or any fraud as a part of all the corrections that we needed to make. So, and that concludes. And that concludes my presentation. Be happy to take any questions from the council on audit procedures, the report.
Okay, so I have a few questions here to try to help gain a little understanding here as far as to what's going on. One is here at the beginning, I believe, on page 1, I think even. It says responsibilities of management for the financial statements. There, it says management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. So my first question is I want to make sure we're all on the same definition here. Who is management?
Mayor, admin, council.
Okay.
Management of the
That's
city.
the reason why I wanted to get a little clarity on that right there, because it says right here that we're responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of financial statements. I'm sure there'll be several members of the council who would want to talk about that as far as our role in being able to prepare the statements. So it's your position then that the mayor and council are the management?
I would say I would say that the mayor and the admin staff are the primary implementers, but yeah, by reviewing and oversight of the financial statement, it would typically include those charged with governance as well.
Okay. Let's see here. You go on and you say that management is required to evaluate whether or not there are conditions or events considered in the aggregate that raise substantial doubt about the city of Pinson. I know this is mostly about the fact of whether or not we have something on the horizon financially that might wreck us. And I know that the purpose of this audit report is twofold. One is so that the taxpayers can actually see what's been going on and have accountability of their funds. The other thing would be to any individuals that that might be willing to loan us money in the future. And so obviously they would, our current debts and future potential debts, they take a look at this and see what kind of house that we're running here to be able to evaluate.
Yeah, the two key words there in that is going concern.
Mm-hmm.
And going concern primarily means the inability to continue to operate. And, you know, as I mentioned, you've got reserves on hand, your debt to equity is, you know, ratios are you know, really positive. There isn't any real issue for the next 12 months having any I wouldn't have any concern of that level. As I mentioned, over 5 months of operating reserves on hand when the government recommends at least 3.
So I know that you guys have a lot of very just specific language that you use, basically to account for what it is that you're representing here on, you know, in this report. And you're also very careful about what you do not represent as far as what's happening here. my general, and you can tell me if this is wrong, my general impression is that you've looked at this, but that you do count on us to provide you with the information. Y'all are not the bookkeepers here. Y'all are not those folks right there. Y'all are basically the overseers and taking a look at what's been taking place. Is that
That is
accurate?
correct. We are not allowed to assist in your accounting records and then audit those same records. Those are the rules, and if we are required to step in and make certain adjustments, that's when the findings start to come along.
Okay. You talk about here, this is on page 2 at the top, toward the end of that first paragraph right here, you say, misstatements are considered material if there's a substantial likelihood that individually or in the aggregate, they would influence the judgment made by a reasonable user based on the financial statements. You want to talk about that anymore there about?
Materiality is a number we set. It's based on, it can be based on your total revenue or your total assets. But if there is a certain difference that we maybe come across that we feel that, you know, if making this would not sway the stakeholders in reading this report one way or the other, then it's possible that those types of adjustments get passed on. In this situation, when we were adjusting almost everything anyway, there's a minimal amount of adjustments that were not posted as far as it goes to the material level.
Okay.
But yes, there is a level of materiality that we operate off of based on the size of either your operating budget or your total assets.
All right, so you make a statement here at the bottom of page 2 where you say management has omitted the management's discussion and analysis, the MD&A and budgetary comparison schedule that accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America require to be presented to supplement the basic financial statements. You say such missing information, although not a part of the basic financial statements, is required by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. You go on, you say our opinions on the basic financial statements are not affected by this missing information. So my question is that in the past, we've always had a budget versus actual as part of your report. Why did that stop happening?
Well, it was a decision made in the report preparation process of, you know, we didn't really even have a budget for fiscal year 23. I think we were just operating off the same budget from a previous year, as well as the implementation of the new system, kind of detailing out expenditures in a way that weren't for the prior year versus current year, maybe not as useful of information, and also being a year after the fact, we felt that the additional preparations that didn't serve as much usefulness as getting the report finalized and out the door.
Okay, so I may be wrong. It has been known to happen on occasion, but my understanding is the city council did pass a budget for this particular year. Again, what we're talking about here, this is a blast to the past. This is what ended almost a year ago, so we're talking about almost 2 years ago when this was taking place. During that time, we did have a budget in place. This most recent year, the current year we're in now, we did not have one. So we did have the
budget.
Do what? We did have a budget. Yes, that is correct. But for whatever reason, now we've not done a budget versus actual comparison here for this report.
As you know, like I said, we haven't finalized the issuance of this. If you would prefer us to go back and prepare that schedule, it just felt like based on the time and the cost to the city, it didn't provide really as much value in presenting those this year versus, as I said, just trying to get this to some conclusion, communicate the findings that we come across, and move forward.
Well, we knew we didn't have this information about this time last year, as a matter of fact, because as we were working on attempting to try to get a budget together for this current year, we couldn't get this data because this was something that we were having trouble with there on that. So I was just curious as to know, apparently it may still not exist or is still difficult. You're saying it would cost us some money to be able to get this extracted out of the software.
No, I mean, I would be happy to prepare the schedule for you. I just found that, you know, based on the budget that we reviewed when we were out there versus the detail of the new accounting system versus the basicness of our preparation of the budget, then we just made the decision that we felt like for these schedules, one, we would report the 2 RSA schedules that are required as RSI as well, but the additional schedules, and it's something that has happened for other cities that have received, have have had long delays in getting their audit report out. But no, if it was the council's preference for me to, for us to prepare that, we'd be happy to do so.
Okay. The next section here is on page 4. And on page 4, you go into, and you made mention of this during your presentation, concerning the what will happen later in the findings. And I found that we basically have what appears to be 3 levels of descriptive levels, I guess is a way of saying it, of your findings. I'm a simple guy, so, I call it level 1, level 2, level 3, okay? Level 1 is something you call a deficiency, which it says here is an internal control exists when the design or operation of a control does not allow management or employees in the normal course of performing their assigned functions to prevent or detect and correct misstatements on a timely basis. Okay, so that right there is level 1. So
Both of the next options are deficiencies. There's just level 1 and level 2. So both a material weakness and a significant deficiency would be considered a deficiency in internal control, material weakness being more significant.
Okay, and that's what I was fixing to say is that you list them in different order because basically the one is kind of defined by the previous one, so it kind of makes sense as to why you're doing that. But a significant deficiency is similar to a material deficiency, but just not quite as bad. Okay, is that an easy way of saying it?
That is a fair way to put it, and it is a little confusing in that they use significant and then material weakness being more significant than significant deficiency.
I understand how you guys have a lot of.
I don't make the rules.
You gotta love the English language, right? We, being from an engineering background, I know that we tend to use our terminology also, and you guys are using, again, what is customary and normal language in your industry. And that's what's important is whether or not folks that read these for a living, folks that review this stuff, as long as they understand what you're saying, that's what counts. But for the public purposes, I wanted to make sure we understood that this was the case. You do say you've identified certain deficiencies, which you went through there on the findings, and I think it's important for the public to know that each one of those was found to be the level 3, which is the material weakness level there in those. I believe last year we had a single finding that came out, and it also was a material weakness at that time. And so this time we have 3 instead of 1. We seem to be growing in some of these matters. I don't have a ton of questions about the actual numbers section. Let's see here. Let's see here. Oh, you did do an excellent job of pointing this out, talking about the additional special funds accounts having been added. That was something that caught my eye immediately as I said, whoa, wait a minute here, because there's a pretty big hit to the general fund amount. It's like, whoa, where'd all the money go? The money's still there. It just moved over, and you guys have done a nice job of being able to explain this better. I do think that'll be useful going forward, just as you mentioned, to keep us from accidentally spending funds. By having it in our general fund may give us the false delusion that we have more funds available for more free spending. This council has been known to do a little free spending on occasion, than what we might really need to be doing. So I do appreciate the time you spent on explaining that particular aspect. I hope everyone else understood that too. If you go back and look at the previous years, you will not see those particular funds. So these transfers in, transfers out, makes good sense of all that. I probably need to get sidebar with you here about a couple of other things as far as the inside baseball number aspects on things that I had a little bit of a question about. Let's talk about the confidence here on this thing right here. These findings are very troubling. I'll be perfectly honest there with you. This is bad. That's the only way I can describe it, as bad. We knew we had a problem. This council's been very patient. Many might believe that we are patient to a flaw, and that we have been lacking diligence on getting to the bottom of some of this financial stuff. I do think you did a nice job, though, of mentioning we know that this has all not happened in a vacuum. I want to point out the fact that I do not want to place any blame on any one of our staff members. I do believe that this team here has done everything in their power to try to overcome what has turned into a very bad situation. I think these folks have given above and beyond. I think that they have honestly tried their best to try to overcome the situation that they faced. This is just me personally. I don't know why they would continue to work in a job situation like what they have, because this thing has been a complete mess and has been something very difficult to overcome. I don't think these folks knew exactly what was going to hit them, because if they did, they probably would have done everything they could to stop the ship and try to get us to go in a different direction. This software seems to be a major issue. That seems to be the thing. Obviously, we started out when Mayor Cochran came on board. He saw the deficiencies that we had in the other software. He was more familiar with more modern software and knew that the council could and the employees could gain benefit by having a more substantial and robust software system. By having that better software, we would allow faster feedback to the employees to let them know, whether or not they were staying within budget and, what kind of areas that might be coming up. And they'd get instant feedback there out of that. And that was a great thing. The financial staff seemed to be on board with it also. Like I say, I don't know whether or not they knew everything that was going to be happening, but at least they seemed to be somewhat on board. And the council itself was on board because we felt like it would allow us more freedom in being able to do our job in oversight and being able to see what was going on, especially as various decisions come down the pike. That may require us to have to make some tough choices about where we spend our money. So from that perspective, we had high hopes and everything. We hoped that it would work out. Unfortunately, for a variety of reasons, it has not gone well at all. As you mentioned, it probably would have been smart to have had a professional accountant type person on staff to help us with the migration. We did not know that. We didn't realize that, and our team.
We would have expected Tyler Technologies to provide that as well. So
Tyler seems to be more interested in selling a product than they are in actually successfully having a client that is having a successful usage of their product. We've learned that the hard way. I'm not saying it's not a good product. I'm not saying it won't do the stuff. I'm just saying that for us, it's been extremely difficult. I know that the data transfer, and I don't know how this came about. Perhaps it came about because Tyler wanted to keep things moving, but they decided that, in hindsight, this is crazy, but that we would change softwares in the middle of a fiscal year. I don't know where in the world that came from. Everybody's like, well, we're here, we might as well go ahead and switch. Unfortunately, though, that data had to be translated from the old system into the new, and just like anything else, stuff gets lost in translation, and it got remapped incorrectly, and all kinds of bad things started happening on that, which led to additional trouble for our staff trying to figure out things that the computer had messed up. Even beyond our own deficiencies in-house of being able to, understand the system and key in entries correctly. I want to acknowledge the fact that right there has been a serious problem all along. You brought this to us last year, Charlie did, as far as for position 1, segregation of duties and oversight of financial reporting. That was a problem last year. We were to address that by we hired a revenue clerk in order to try to help out with that part. That was brought to the council. We said, yes, that's a good idea. We should do that. We did implement that. Regrettably, we find ourselves sitting here a year and 3 or 4 months later, basically in the same boat all over again. Now I will say this, just from knowing this staff and knowing how hard that they've attempted to work, when you have a mess on your hands, which is what we've had, everybody wants to row in the same direction, and you don't tend to worry about well, whose job's what when you're trying to save the ship? And I think that's basically what we've had here is a group trying to work together to be able to accomplish the end goal, which has been to have a reliable set of books so that we could understand where our revenues and expenses are here at the city. I don't know how this gets fixed. I'm not sure exactly how in the world this can be repaired. I do not like the idea of continuing on without trying to try to fix some of this. When we get to the third one here in just a moment, my biggest issue with this is the fact that, not that I have an issue actually with the employees having done it. My issue is more with the fact that it calls into question the veracity of our employees, and that bothers me a lot because I know that their reputations mean as much to them as what ours here on the council mean to us, and no one wants to be falsely accused. I do want to emphasize the fact that there was absolutely no indication of any impropriety taking place by any one of our staff with regard to any of these mistakes that were found. That's very good. We do have a lot of mistakes, but there was no impropriety. And again, these people want to maintain their reputations as they do their jobs here. The next one is efficient inconsistencies and delays in performance of account reconciliations. This is the most damning of all of these things right here because, quite frankly, it means that we really don't know what in the world's going on for a certain period of time. And when I read your response on here, and I say, during our audit procedures, we found that a considerable number of financial statement accounts were not reconciled timely, accurately, or at all. That is pretty upsetting. And then you go on to explain what these were, and you say these include all basic operating accounts, such as cash accounts, revenues, expenses, receivables, payables, prepaid assets, and other accruals. And then you say these accounts were all required to be adjusted in the prior year as well. What kind of bookkeeping system has this sort of thing going on? I mean, is this really a set of books?
A lot of them is interrelated, and it comes from posting things to the correct fund and getting the right amount into the right fund. And, whether we were posting things for revenue into a liability account or, payments into a due from when it needed to just, offset a receivable. It's all standard errors that you would see in a difficult fund accounting situation. As I said, as someone who was familiarized with it and has a pretty good background of digging through restricted funds versus non-restricted funds and balancing out inter-fund accounts, it took some time, but it seems like that, a lot of the issues felt like it was we finally got everything converted over, and then we start trying to get caught up entering data, and then we had some duplicate data, and then we had to reverse out some data, and just between all of that, I mean, it just becomes immensely difficult to verify what's a real transaction and what was just an offsetting a duplicate that was there previously. But as I said, I feel like after we got to the point of getting things corrected and we got the additional revenue clerk hired at the end of the fiscal year, a little bit of help oversight from a third-party CPA. It feels like we got a pretty good handle on getting things posted correctly and where they're supposed to go. And just needed a little guidance on kind of how the inter-fund activity works.
Okay. The last one was on the is on this payroll process scenario here. So basically, in a nutshell, what we found is that we have there's no person at the top. Basically, we've got a situation here where the department heads enter in the information, and then there's no review in place to make sure, again, that something may be not right. Again, I go back to the fact that these individuals value their reputations. No one wants to be falsely accused of having entered in false time for themselves. We knew there was something needed to be done about that. I know we got some time clocks and stuff around here department-wide to try to be able to get a better paper trail there on that. But it appears that we also need to have additional oversight of that paper trail just to make sure everything is correct and set up, again, to remove any appearance of impropriety.
That's correct. You know, just some simple, you know, maybe some cross references from, you know, the top, you know, cross approval, if you will, and just set a good policy for everyone to be able to follow and abide by going forward. And it feels like we got a pretty good separation and a good idea about how to do that based on the conversations with Mayor and the City Clerk on Tuesday.
Let me see here. We did lose our accountant just prior to this beginning of this particular fiscal year, I believe. I don't think that was something that anybody wanted, but it certainly was something that might have helped the situation a lot more had we replaced him on a more timely basis in light of that, what we were in. Again, I believe that the staff was in the middle of a storm. I think they're still in the middle of a storm, trying to help fight their way out of it. And, you know, sometimes the last thing, it's hard to say, hey, bring in reinforcements when you're trying to survive. And that's kind of pretty much the way I saw that particular thing. This is my last question here on this, and that's this. That I don't have a whole lot of confidence in these books. That's just my own personal opinion on that thing. I know y'all have done a lot of work. I have a lot more confidence than I did a year ago. I still don't have full confidence in everything that's in here. I believe that because it's just overwhelming. And I think if we're being honest, we would all say, hey, this is a little bit shaky. But I just wanted to ask you, was consideration ever given to calling for a full forensic audit of this particular accounts to try to help piece this thing completely back together again?
No, there was not. You know, there's, you know, some of the procedures we maybe were performing to verify the accuracy of certain expenditures or revenues, kind of maybe some of those steps were forensic-like in our verification. But based on the ability for us to, you know, do a, you know, an extended sample of cash expenditures, of which nothing, you know, no issues were noted, you know, and we include in that, we go into specified risks, we check employee reimbursements, we check credit cards, we check all the items that would have that little added risk. All receipts accounted for, all approvals and such, approvals by the council, I don't know, every 2 weeks with a list of bills. Like I said, we dug through payroll in depth. We had some, you know, we had some issues in the processing of it, but nothing of any nature that seemed like, you know, it was an override of the control, you know, or someone was overriding and, you know, and doing, you know, misappropriating funds. So, and like I said, you know, for, you know, majority of your revenue transactions are paid to you via a third party. So we can pretty easily get back down to the exact amount you should have for almost every revenue line, particularly tax revenue. You know, because we don't collect any of those at the city. You know, between that and, you know, not having issues in digging through the ordinary operating expenditures, as well as, you know, we maintain your capital assets in our software, which means I look at every single one of those transactions on top of the ones that I looked at for normal operating, and everything was as it should. So we didn't get quite to that level of feeling that was necessary.
Okay. I'm going to move to the right and ask Ms. Irvin if you have any questions that you'd like to ask.
I don't. Thank you. I think you guys did a great job. I think I see it a little bit glass half full versus glass half empty. Because I think you answered most of all of your questions yourself. Changing the system in the middle of the year, of course, doing an import. And I guess I do have one question. Would that be one reason why it wouldn't make sense to do the schedule to budget, because the items will not be the same?
Partially, yes, indeed. And, you know, we actually had 2 different implementation dates. We implemented the accounts payable side in October-ish, and then we went with the payroll in January. So it was actually 2 different implementations of the system. But, yeah, the comparability of kind of what we had in the depth of the current year versus where the budget lines existed. But like I said, if we would certainly be happy to prepare that schedule if the council wished.
Mr. Walker.
I'll be honest, I expected a worse report. I'm satisfied with the report that we've been given. And as my personal summarization, we kind of had the perfect storm, as Council Roberts mentioned. We started this implementation, we lost personnel, we lost the CPA, and when you get into things like that, especially in the financial world, it starts to snowball. And you're right, our staff did a great job of working through it and all the frustrations, and they should be commended for that. But I do recognize that we have some deficiencies to address, and it sounds like you've had appropriate conversations with the mayor and clerk to handle that, and I'm agreeable to that.
Mr. Churchwell.
I don't have much. I just, you mentioned a while ago on some of these things that you had 3 different levels. But aren't you just telling us that this is bad number 1, bad number 2, and bad number 3?
Right. So it is just 2 levels. Both levels are considered a deficiency, and then they're just one that you consider a little more severe. So, but you know, just kind of uncontrollable based on the nature of the finding and the nature of the bugs. Yeah.
Thank you.
Ms. Kirk.
Well, I want to talk about the way we clock our time. I know we have a time clock, but who signs off on each person's? Do they turn their own time in? I mean, I know the mayor's not here, so he can't sign off on it. So who signs off on their timesheets?
The department heads can approve the individuals in theirs. There's no issues there. It was more of the kind of verifying and cross approval of those at the top.
So no one signs off on all theirs?
No, or not that we had record of for our period under audit.
Have we had a lot of overtime?
It wasn't extensive, but we noticed that, there are some out there. There was some overtime earned or some comp time here and there.
I mean, in the administration, I know we have overtime out in the field.
Some, yes.
How do we do the overtime? Is it for everything over 40 hours, or how is it?
So over 40 hours in a week, and you pay bi-weekly, so, I guess over 80 total for the 2-week period.
So it has to be over 40 hours. That's the way it has to be done.
For 1 week, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I'm not happy. I'll be honest. Someone needs to be where they can, where someone needs to sign off on and approve the overtime or the payrolls. I've always had that issue here. And I'm not saying anybody, but when the time gets overcharged, that's money, and that's, to me, it's taxpayers' dollars. So
Department heads do.
What do you say?
That the department heads do oversee the payroll of the employees.
Oh, I know they do, but who oversees them? Is there not any? Do you come in and you sign off on their on their timesheet, on their hours? Do you know how many hours they work every week, every day? Does anybody know?
That's what I feel like, just as, some simple cross approvals between some department heads that are familiar with those that are in the office at the same time feels like a pretty easy solution. But,
Are any of the department heads hourly? Just one?
No.
Okay.
I guess, yeah.
So only one would actually have overtime, and then the rest would just be the comp hours.
Correct. We can kind of consider those of similar.
I think there's only one does comp, I think. That's Eric.
No, every department head is available, has that available to them since they are salaried. to compensate for the time worked over and above, which a lot of people had to in this period.
Mr. Mayor,
Just
did
more
you have
concerned about setting
anything you would
something,
like to share about this too?
I think we have a good plan moving forward.
Well, I'm very interested in learning more about that plan. Tonight's
am
been
too.
very illuminating as far as to our potential responsibility. I'd like to follow back up on that as far as for the term management. I find that to be very interesting. There is a dynamic between the state law regarding the executive branch and the legislative branch. We're kind of, our hands are kind of tied around here from up at
Yes.
the dais. And yet if I'm gonna be responsible for this stuff, then I certainly got a vested interest in this.
Yes.
Okay. If there are no more questions at this time, then we appreciate you coming and giving this full update. Again, I know you have to camp here a lot. I do know that the new software did allow you to work off-site some, which was a nice feature. But I do know that you get to be a regular face around here. I don't know if you were able to help out Public Works with any repair jobs while you were here, but be
The
careful.
mayor runs everything daily.
Okay, okay.
I got one other question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know offhand how much we paid you guys this time?
I do not. I think the bill, over 35 or so, yeah, plus any time served for, additional accounting services, so.
It will appear on a bill schedule, coming attractions.
Yeah.
It's in your packet from the meetings from last week, or week before last meeting.
Do they progress bill, Marie?
We do.
Okay, all right. So you'd have to add them up over the time period.
Right.
Yeah, I think the contract was 35, and then, for any additional services, it's just billed at the time it took to get it all fixed, so.
Okay. Thank you, Dawson. Again, appreciate your
Absolutely.
work. I'm now going
Thanks.
to reinstate the rules at this time and move on to finance report from Ms. Irvin concerning the payment of those bills.
Yes, I would like to offer a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $52,956.36.
Motion's there second?
Second.
Motion and second. Anything of interest that needs to be pointed out?
We paid for our alarm and our phone system. And also our fireworks for our celebration this past weekend.
Okay. Any other comments or discussion? If not, all in favor of paying the bill, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We will go ahead and write those checks. Next, we're going to move on to enhancements, and Mr. Walker has a full City Fest report, not unlike the audio-only version that I had, or the abbreviated one that Eric gave us in the pre-council, but we will get full description.
So our City Fest celebration, it's hard to believe it's been 20 years that Spencer's been a city. It seems like just yesterday we were having the discussions about becoming a city, and it was exciting to be there. It was exciting to see all the people there, and I think I created a new term when describing to the council, fabtastic presentation in the fireworks display. I'm telling you, Mr. Roberts said he could hear it and it sounded great, but I'm telling you, looking at that, sorry, Butterbean, we did it better. Food trucks were awesome. Highly recommend the taco food truck that was here. It was really, really good. I wish I'd have been hungry enough to try them all. Come out,
City Fest is a great opportunity to meet your neighbors. It is a great opportunity to the display inside for the history of Pinson. Historical Society did a great job putting that out there. We really enjoyed looking at all those photos and seeing the history of Pinson, not just since it's been a city, but overall. So if you didn't get to come, you missed out.
Anyone else care to add to that? Unfortunately, I was
I
ill.
was there the entire time.
We could not keep up with the mayor, I'll guarantee you that.
Your battery was fully charged. I take it. That's good. That's good. I unfortunately was ill, was unable to get out, but I was able to hear very well. As a matter of fact, considering the distance from Innsbruck, you could hear great. And what I noticed was the, and I believe Eric had mentioned this earlier when they were setting up the fireworks program, that the pacing was extremely quick. And I kind of like that. I don't like just sitting around waiting. I kind of like a lot of stuff happening. And it sounded like a lot of stuff happening. So either that or they faked me off with the audio version. But appreciate that. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share about?
I'd just like to confirm what Brad said.
Fabtastic?
Huh?
Fabtastic?
I don't know about that. But the fireworks were great. And I'll even go back and say, since I'm involved in the Butterbean Festival too, we do have a ways to go because that fireworks was great.
Yep.
My suggestion is that you guys, because I believe it was the same vendor that does the Butterbean, was to tell them that y'all want the City Fest package moving
That is
forward.
the recommendation.
I know that they
Go
did.
big or go home.
Go bigger, go home. It's the Go Bigger, Go Home package, I believe. I know that they syncopate the fireworks to the music for the Butterbean, but maybe we might not want to syncopate. We'll just go full out visual spectacular there in the fall. So appreciate that.
And I thought the Historical Society did a great job putting all the information up inside. That was very well done. Very good raid. I brought my granddaughter and she had really enjoyed it. Found out a lot of things we didn't know.
Great.
So,
Great. All right, we want to move on now to new business. First is a motion concerning the audit that we just heard. I wanted to say something. I don't believe that anyone here had an advance copy to be able to look at this. I did, but it was unusual. I don't know that it's fair. This is just me. I don't know that it's fair to ask you guys to vote on something when you hadn't had a chance to actually digest it. But that's just me. But Mr. Walker, I'll defer to you.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to adopt the 2022-2023 audit.
Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Irvin,
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Roberts,
No.
Counselor Churchwell,
No.
Counselor Kirkland,
no.
Mayor Cochran.
Yes.
May I interject?
Yes, you may.
So, we have to send a report, and that we have been
We're a little
pushing it
behind.
back.
We're a little behind.
So, just so y'all are aware of that,
Okay.
okay?
Perhaps we can have a little bit of time for everyone to take a read through, and in case they had questions, perhaps the modifications that he suggested, like I say, he said it had not been, they're open to that potentially. Next is a motion the mayor would like to make from the Rock School, a motion to authorize the layout and design of the kitchen at a cost of $2,400. I meant to write that name down, Mr. Mayor. I wasn't sure the individual that you had spoken with.
So moved.
So the person was who again? I couldn't remember.
Todd, Todd, I don't know the last name.
Thought I made a note, but I didn't do it.
Thought I did too.
Todd Jackson recommended.
Todd Jackson, okay. Is there a second?
Second?
I'm gonna call for a voice vote on this. All in favor?
Wait a
Oh,
minute.
I'm sorry.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
What basically is this for?
Good question.
I mean, we've been buying equipment for the last 2 months to go in that room over there. So what else do we know?
Kitchen design.
Kitchen design. That's $2,000 for a term. Kitchen design, don't get it with me.
Why do we need a kitchen design?
Catering.
Catering?
I think it's to update the kitchen. So now that we've updated the rock school and we'll be pulling in maybe weddings or different things to make sure that the kitchen is efficient for caterers that come in for those events.
Yes.
Any other discussion?
No?
Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote on this one also?
Counselor Irvin,
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Roberts,
No.
Counselor Churchwell,
No.
Counselor Kirkland,
No?
Mayor Cochran.
Yes. Yes.
Might need to do a little more consideration here on that. Let's see, next is the 2024-2025 budget presentation.
Thanks.
On what?
Does anybody, I was gonna say the council could also, if we know any other designers, and we're still open to updating the kitchen, y'all can make recommendations we can consider.
So if you, what you're saying, if we voted to approve this money for pay a designer, then what comes next? $40,000 for a kitchen?
Well, I don't know, depends on what they give us in the design, but I'm just
Maybe.
saying, if we're
Maybe.
up to, go ahead.
Well, that actually is my concern is that I didn't really want to go down, I don't want to start shopping for something I might just, I might get buyer's fever. And I might like it to say, oh, I really want to do this. I don't think that I'm prepared to move forward with the kitchen kitchen work at this time. There's a 2024-2025 budget presentation that's been put together by the mayor and his staff. This is a first reading that's been passed out to council to allow us to be able to take a look through that and see whether or not it's, you guys may want to have some feedback, adjustments, whatever that you want to have to bring forward at a future meeting. Ms. Kirkland, I believe you've got a motion concerning the fact that folks might not want to meet on the 4th of July here.
Yes. I would like to offer a motion because I don't want to be here on 4th of July. And I know that the staff don't, that we change our meeting to July 2nd, same time, but July 2nd,
So 6:15 and 7 p.m.
6:15 and
Second.
7 p.m.
So motion and a second. We had a little conversation about this during the pre-council meeting, and I believe everyone's schedule, as far as for the council, that was going to work for them. All in favor of changing the council meeting date, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
So that is approved, so we will go ahead and, Madam Clerk, if y'all will go ahead and post the fact that the meeting be changed to July the 2nd. Should be no impact for the second meeting of the month. We now are moving into what I will refer to as the Counselor Walker-a-thon here. We've had some late additions here on this, but they were worthy of consideration. So first is concerning an intergovernmental agreement on a road paving project, I believe.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to authorizing the mayor to enter into that intergovernmental agreement to pave some roads in the area.
That would be with Jefferson County, I believe?
That is, yes, that is with Jefferson County.
So that's great. Again, during the pre-council, our staff got with the county folks, made sure we weren't paying for more paving than what was actually in our city. They've worked this out. The mayor concurs. So, let's see, what was the amount of that?
That is $74,304.80.
All right, is any other discussion about this? We did get a second, correct, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Okay, that's right, Mayor Joe. All right. Let's do a roll call vote on this, just basically due to the large amount and the fact that we didn't talk about it in advance.
Counselor Irvin?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Roberts?
Yes.
Counselor Churchwell?
Yes.
Counselor Kirkland?
Yes.
Mayor Cochran?
Yes.
All right, so we'll go ahead and, I know those folks over there, unfortunately, the paving trucks will not be out there next week, but they'll probably be out there later in the fall. But the good news is those particular roads, Alfred Johnson and
Walnut.
Walnut.
Yep, Walnut
So
Grove,
get the
I
word
think it
out to
is.
those folks. I know it's a little bouncy over there right now, but they'll appreciate the fact that they're gonna get some new paving soon. Mr. Walker, we still got you?
We still on the spot here. So, a couple of meetings ago, you might recall that we had some technical difficulties in broadcasting our meeting. Wireless technology is a great thing, however, it is far from fully reliable. So, our staff, Eric has come up with a solution for a wired solution to enhance our ability and provide some additional functionality. I would like to make a motion that we purchase a Spark encoder and switch to enhance our ability to broadcast to the public
At a cost of,
at a cost of approximately $1,200.
okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. So yes, Eric explained that to us to begin with there. I joked, I believe we had every grandparent and every aunt and uncle trying to tune in that night. It was Mr. Turner came and spoke, and then we recognized one of the sports teams that had been highly successful and a very large sports team. And as a result, I believe we pretty much crashed the RF frequency bandwidth
much.
available in this building. So, Ms. Heather, we appreciate your valiant attempts to get that going that night, so, but, that didn't quite, it didn't work out, but you tried on that right there. We're gonna get to that. Let's see, any other comments or concerns about that?
No, I don't.
Okay. All in favor of the new Spark encoder and switch, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And so,
Roll call.
let's go ahead and have a roll call vote there, Madam Clerk.
Counselor Irvin?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Roberts?
Yes.
Counselor Churchwell?
Yes.
Counselor Kirkland?
Yes.
Mayor Cochran?
Yes.
So the roll call was important there because we had not
It was an addition.
pre-announced that onto the scenario, so appreciate that. Is there anything else under new business that we need to cover that we did not mention? Don't think so. We're now gonna move on to public comment. My library director peeled off there, and I know it's the extremely light time of year. It's just so laid back over there. There's hardly anything happening. I saw a couple of cobwebs perhaps on that right there. No, I'm just totally kidding. Of course, I'm impressed that you're here. We're in the middle of the summer reading program. It is the most wonderful time of the year in the library world. So, did not know if you wanted to say anything about how fabulous things were going. She's good. Whoa, wait a minute. This is a shocker here. I've never seen a library director that didn't want to promote summer reading. So hopefully I've done a good job for you there by saying, if you haven't gotten your summer reading, if you haven't signed up, please do so. We are always encouraged by folks signing up. There are some really nice prizes that are available to those who participate. And I think it's also a good time of bonding for the entire city going through all that. And so we appreciate all that's going on. It is quite lively over at the library, so we're excited about that. Any other department heads need to say anything? Everybody else good?
Wait, please. I'm typing. Thanks to Mayor Sanders for being with us.
Yes, I noticed earlier, I was going to say something there when Mr. Walker mentioned the 20 years and the City Fest. Of course, that's a celebration of the creation of the city. And we certainly owe a debt of gratitude to Mayor Sanders and his extensive work, especially in getting things launched and the many years that he served with us up here. We do appreciate you coming tonight, and welcome any comment. We are open to public comment at this time, so if you'd like.
Free for years. We worked free for years.
That is true. He's pointing out the fact that y'all worked for free for years. Those were the good old days when you were in a closet and working for free, I believe. Madam Clerk, I believe you had one of those closet offices too, or something.
I
Okay.
did.
I'll be back later to talk about Pride of the Valley and the Marching Chiefs for this coming.
Well, we certainly appreciate.
Bathroom.
Yes, you certainly.
He was in the bathroom.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The mayor had the bathroom. The clerk got the closet.
I had the closet.
Okay. We do appreciate your work as the president of the Band Boosters. I know you've been helping out a lot up there, and of course we hear great things about the band, so we do appreciate that. So thank you very much. Anyone else care to comment at this time? Chief, appreciate you staying around there. I guess I didn't give you too hard a time there earlier about that nice presentation. So if there are no comments, then we're going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are hereby adjourned.